Hey guys, Mango TFT here. I want to get another video up for 14.4 current patch. I'm going to go over some interesting changes and some newer comps that have come out over the past couple patches. Apologize for the lack of videos recently, but if you want to go check out my first video, you can see some of the more like stable vertical comps that still we see all the time. But today I'm going to be going over a little more nuanced comps that are a little newer and becoming more optimized as the patch and set goes on. So I'm going to go over my stage 1 holds as well, because I think that's interesting, and maybe some of these general macro changes, like there's an item and orb decrease in TFT in general. We're averaging like one less blue orb per game, so on average you're down like 1 or 2 components, which is kind of a big deal. It kind of changes like augment selection a lot. Other than that though, we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. So my stage 1 holds, I think this is, obviously you can kind of change it a bit based on your playstyle and what comps you actually like default and prefer. I think that's kind of an interesting thing about TFT. But for me, like best carry and best tank of this patch, one cost is just Alistar Cog. Like if you can start the game with an Ali 2, Cog 2, and like any sort of slam, like you're in a great spot. Next best carry I think is actually Morgana. There's actually quite a few comps right now that run blue buff, so she's a great holder for that. And then I think Vi is next best. So in my mind it's like Bruisers, then Vanguards, then the Bastions. Although the Bastions do play into like more interesting lines, so there's kind of that argument. Depends on what way you look at it. But in terms of just pure strength of units, this is kind of what I'm looking at. The ones I've tried not to hold too much, I used to hold Nidalee a lot because I was an amp enjoyer, but I don't think it's as important to hold Nidalee. I don't think your conditions to play amp are based around Nidalee, so it doesn't make sense to hold her. You can still play amp without her and just pick her up later. Seraphine, like sure, if you have Animus opener, you can hold her, or like Techies, whatever. And then Shaco's okay right now. I think he needs either a range extension like scoped weapons, or I think he needs like artifact to really perform. Yeah, I had the Jax Poppy here. Maybe move Jax up 1, and then Kindred really is just to like pair with like Kog'Maw. You can play Nitro. There's some Nitro boards going around right now, but yeah, in general, this is kind of what my holds would look like. Cool. So as I touched on, we do have an overall decrease in resources. We still have hacks, like that's the entire set mechanic, so those resources still high, and in double up we have even more resources, right? So it's just something to consider. It's more so kind of a solo note. It does affect double up still, but not as much. So cool. We'll go into the comps today. I'm going to talk about 5 amp, ZERI MF, which is my personal favorite, VEXOTECH, BOOMBOT, and Golden Ox. So some of these are a little more niche, like the BOOMBOT Golden Ox, but I think it's worth noting these. As I mentioned, my previous video has a lot of these verticals. Cool. All right, so first and foremost, we're going to look at 5 amp. There's a couple different ways to actually play this comp. So number 1, the best condition for it, I think, is Spectral Cutlass Nefiri, especially with Pulse, or if you can even just build like IE and Hodge on him. This unit just goes to the moon. Like I had a game where people were full cornering their carry around Spectral Cutlass to defend it, and Nefiri would just like kill 4 of them and still kill the carry. Like it's unbelievable. Other than that, I think a couple important things to note. You actually don't have to play this Exotech +2, like this Jax Sedge. This is just if you have a good EXO item. If you don't, you can just drop them and you can play like this board earlier. You don't have Samira, obviously you play a filler unit. But I think this is a good pairing if you have a good EXO item. You can also just play it until you hit like 2 legendaries. You can drop these out unless you have like something like Pulse for Nefiri. Other kind of way to play it, if you're playing for Nefiri, you'd reroll on 6, obviously. You can also reroll Yuumi. She likes blue buff until you have 5 amp, and then she gets so much mana from 5 amp that there's an argument to actually move the blue buff to Annie and play triple damage item on Yuumi, something like that. Or, Guard Breaker's probably theoretically better, but can't always guarantee that. But yeah, that's one argument. And then it is partially a Samira check. I know 4 amp got buffed, so it's not as much of a Samira check, but this board caps so high. Like if you get to Samira 2, 5 amp with like an Nefiri 3 or a Yuumi 3, like genuine GG. Just genuine. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it to touch on. Nico can hold your tank items, and yeah, call it a day. Can also drop these for like Garen. Probably be the best 5 cost you would want to play. Something like just a Garen. Reason being, if you can give strat to any of your non-strat units like Annie or Samira, strat mod would just be insanely broken. Cool. Next, my personal favorite comp. This is MF ZERI Duo. And you can see the board actually fits together beautifully. The only traits we're missing is Techie for Mord, which does kind of suck, but Marksman for Jin, who's truthfully just kind of a trait bot. You play this. This is your 3. Oops, excuse me. This is your 3 Syndicate pairing to Hat MF. I put these up. You can put ZERI here. She'll dash back and then across, and then you can just move TF out of the way. Conditions typically to play this, you can play Pulse or Flux ZERI. I think those are the only 2 real playable ones. I do like Pulse a bit more, but Flux is still playable with like double Rage Blade. Other than that, like you can throw any third item on, like via Pulse. Like sometimes I just make Runons and make sure like MF has an IE and you're good to go. Since you're not really playing too many Dynamos, like Shojin's fine on MF as well. One other variation of this comp that you can do that I actually really, really like, if you do not have a good EXO item on 5, so I'm talking, an example would be either one of your ZERI items is on 5, or let's say like green item Mord, or maybe the purple item Sejuani. What is this? Corrupted Chassis or Repulsor Lantern. Sorry, I just call them green item, purple item, yellow item, red item. But you can actually drop the Bastion pair and play a 4 Bruiser frontline. Where is he? Boom. And then you would main tank Cho'Gath 2. Cho'Gath 2 is just way better of a tank than the other board. This is more like has the ability to go infinite if you have really good Cho tank items. So this version's pretty cool. I'd keep an eye out for that. Just helpful too, because now you just have another unit to hold in your roll down, right? Which makes it a little easier if you have that out with a good EXO on 3 for ZERI. One thing to note, this comp really needs items. I mean, like, you're trying to 3-item MF and ZERI, and then obviously, you know, your tank, if you're playing the other board, probably just 3-item Sedge, 3-item Mord if you can. But so yeah, things like buried treasures, any of the like bunch of belts, things like that are just broken bunch of swords. So Sword Overflow, I think, is the actual name. So cool. Next board, this one came out a couple patches ago, truthfully, like it rose in popularity. I was taking a little bit of break from TFT, and I'm back and really having a lot of fun. Is actually VEXOTECH. So I have your example of the items. I don't want to say the problem, but the big thing about this comp, this is one comp that really does benefit so much from theoretical best in slot Vex. I think a lot of carries have one mandatory item. Like on this board, like you give MF an IE and you give her 2 any other AD items, she's gonna perform. Like, yeah, some are gonna be better than others, but she's gonna perform. Here, you really need Vex Bis, which means you're typically gonna play this out of Lost Streak. If you are playing this out of Lost Streak, that means you can play Cypher, because if you're losing anyway, to get carousel priority or to trade items, you don't necessarily have to play out of Lost Streak and double up, because you can trade items with your partner, but a lot of the times you're looking for very, very specific items. So yeah, it can be difficult if your partner's playing any comps that require tiers as well. It gets very difficult. So yeah, you typically will play this out of Lost Streak. This is like the typical level 8 board right here. One thing you'll notice just in almost like every comp, if you're looking for a +1 to a trait and you're like 1 out of 2 Bruiser, 1 out of 2 Vanguard, you just play the Divinity Corp unit. It's so strong. Like, 2 Bruiser gives 100 HP to your whole board, and then Gragas himself gives 50 HP base, and then, you know, whatever the Divinity Corp additional bonus is, and then the Divinity champs gain double. So just so much effective HP just for playing this unit. And he's like not that bad. Like, he's chill. He's a chill guy. But Yeah, so you can play this out of Cypher. You can go for like a low, easy chill cash on Wolves. Let me actually pull up the tables for Cypher cash out. Okay, here's Cypher. Yeah, so like anywhere in this range, like 125 to like 200, I mean, you're just getting free econ, you're getting component anvil, you're getting, you know, 4 cost 7 gold, you're getting money. Like, you can't miss. Like, none of these you can miss. Even this lesser champ dupe, like, one big way to actually cap this board is if you can hit either of these, Vars 3 or Mord 3. That actually is probably the really good cap with this specific board. Alternatively, you can cap around like just replacement units for the ones that are droppable. So like, what I mean by that is like Jin, what's he doing? He's doing Dynamo. We drop for Aurora. Jax, he's our Bastion. We drop for Renekton. Gragas can drop for Kaboku. So this would be like a sample. You actually do want to keep Morgana in a lot of the time, because biggest problem with this comp, if you can tell with these items, our Vex has no AP. She has nothing. So getting even the Divinity bonus of AP on Morg is so good for the Vex. Any of the augments they can give, like damage amp, are very good. This comp's just kind of lacking like amp and damage in general. So cool. All right, next two comps are going to be a little more conditional. As you can see, we got 6 BOOMBOT. If you don't have a +1, you can actually drop 2 and play around 4 Bruiser, 4 BOOMBOT. There's actually a big flex line, YBY1, who's one of the best APAC players. He actually plays that line a ton. It's just a fast 9 line. Regardless of what version you're playing, it's just an Urgot check. Double up, you can get away with fast 9 a little better, a little easier than solos, I think, as well, just because of the higher resources, the gift trading, and the lower HP loss. Urgot, big thing, you need Shiv in this comp. Like, Spark is actually really bad, because your BOOMBOT cannons are going to shoot backline, and you want them to be shredded. So much of the damage is from the magic damage. So, like, if you're 6 BOOMBOT, every 400 damage you do, you're shooting 550 damage of magic damage. So that's like over 100% amp equivalent. Like every 400, you're doing more than that amount in additional. It's just preposterous. You will just clear boards faster than you can even go to your partner's board. It's insane. Granted, this is like the super high cap. Huge thing is if you don't have +1 or even with it, you want Garen to BOOMBOT some of these guys. Like if you can BOOMBOT Viego, BOOMBOT Kaboku, life is good. Some other holders, so like Vex is obviously the main one I have here, but there's actually some cool variation you can do. I've actually seen YBY1 play this variant, where, you know, assuming you don't have Viego, like this would be your early, like maybe level 8 board, right, where you're playing around this like Aphelios Alistar duo, so then you're getting Golden Ox, you're still getting Bruiser, and then he can hold your actual BOOMBOT emblem. There's also Brand does exist because Fiddle fits in with the techie, so that's super cool. But yeah, most importantly is just Urgot items. It's kind of difficult to like have a good Urgot holder. Cog is so good early, but he falls off, so you kind of have to find like something in the mid game that can kind of get you over the hump other than just a Cog 2. Cool. And then last comp I do want to talk about is Golden Ox. You can see you know, this positioning is all messed up just because I want to kind of talk about it in general. On the left here is obviously just your 6 Golden Ox. Like this is your core. You can play it out of +1. I've actually had success not without the +1. It helps a lot because you can drop a unit, you can hit those breakpoints faster. But if you are just spoon-fed Golden Ox and you have a ton of econ early, you can look to play this comp without the +1. Biggest thing to note, I mean, this is the most 1st or 8th comp, even more so than Cypher. So if I actually go to top comps, we'll just look at solos. Where is it? Okay. Golden Ox averages a 4.63, which is bad. That's a losing placement. Like 4.5 would be exactly neutral, but it wins 21% of the time. Like it's preposterous. It doesn't top 4 like half the time when it tops 4, it just wins because you either win out or you die. It's a very snowball heavy comp, so if you can snowball with it, it can just take over the game. You can easily hit like a 3-star 4 cost with the juiced econ as well. But one thing I wanted to know, like if you have +1, a lot of people play around this combo of where is it? That. This will kind of be like your +3, like you put Emblem on Zaya, you play this as a Vanguard pair, and you play Aurora just to get 3 Anima. This can be really strong, but even without Emblem, like the craziest cap in the game is just Garen Zac every single time. And then you can just play a +1 unit, doesn't matter who. Like let's say we have Zaya or whatever, maybe just another legendary. Like I'll even throw Urgot in there with Exec for Graves. And then if you can get a Gold Nox mod onto Urgot or onto Zac, and then you're also re-rolling to level up your tree, you're also hitting those breakpoints on the tree, you're also getting so much more gold, you can just end up stage 6 with like a 70 blob Zac, who also has Gold Nox mod, so he's just doing 60% damage amp, and he just one-shots the entire board. It's actually preposterous. So I think in terms of comps that cap the highest, it's actually going to be 5 amp, the Boombot, and the Gold Nox. I think these are like the 3 extremely high cap comps in the game. Something like the ZERI MF Duo, Marksman Vanguard, like they're very stable on 8 if you hit some upgrades, but they don't necessarily cap as hard, so sometimes you want to play for like a 3-star 4 cost. And then similarly, you know, the Dynamo or the VEXOTECH can cap with, you know, a lot of these legendaries, but it doesn't nearly hit as hard as, you know, either of these Garen comps or the Samira comp, because Samira with 5 amp is just a 6 cost. So great. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, good luck in your games. Peace.